Into Math, 3rd grade, Lesson 1.3, Represent Multiplication with Arrays. The I can statement for this lesson is I can use arrays to represent problems about equal groups and to write multiplication equations. Let's first take a look at the vocabulary. A reminder that equal groups mean that each group has the same number of objects. For example, there are 3 equal groups of 2 squares in the image below. In this lesson, we will be learning the vocabulary word array, which is a set of objects arranged in rows and columns. But what are rows and columns? Well, a row is going to go horizontally, like this blue line lining up the squares across the horizon. And columns will be going up and down vertically, like the green lines. They go up and down. So the example of the equal groups of 3 groups of 2 squares, we put them in an array of 3 rows, 1, 2, 3, and we also have 2 columns here, 1, 2 columns. So a tip to remember is that rows are like a rowboat and they go across, and columns are like columns that go up and down. And hopefully that helps for the vocabulary. Now, if I wanted to make this a multiplication equation, I am going to write the rows multiplied by what's in the row, which are 2 red squares. So this multiplication problem is 3 times 2, and when I add or count all of the red squares, I would get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 3 rows with 2 in each row gives me the answer of 6 tiles altogether. And let's review that the 3 is called a factor, the 2 is called a factor, and the answer or the total is called the product when talking about multiplication equations. Please turn to page 14, problem number 1 under Build Understanding. And if you need to pause this video, go ahead and do that and make sure you have a pencil ready. When you're back, we're going to look at problem number 1. Sahil's class is arranging chairs for another show. This time, each row has 9 chairs. There are 3 rows. How many chairs are there? And they want us to use tiles to show equal groups. How many tiles will you put in each row? And how many rows will you make? You can pause this video and go ahead and fill in the answers to question A and then come back. When you're back, you can find the answers to question A by rereading what has been given to you. This time, each row has 9 chairs, so we're going to put in 9 chairs for the tiles, and there are 3 rows. So we're going to put a 3 into how many rows will you make, and then it asks how many chairs are there. We're going to need to make the model here of the array in the green box to demonstrate 9 tiles in each row and 3 rows. Let's go ahead and do that now. You can pause the video as well and then come back when you're done. When you're back, your green workspace may look like mine, where there are 3 rows of 9 tiles in each row. So we can write 3 rows of 9 squares equals, and then you can pause and count all the squares or count by 9s 3 times and then come back to confirm your answer. When you're back, you should find that you have 27 squares all together when you have 3 rows of 9 in each row. Question C says, describe what each factor and the product model in the multiplication equation for the array. So what this is basically asking is, what do these numbers actually represent or mean? So we remember that these two right here, 3 and 9, are the factors. So we know that the 3, remember, the 3 stands for the rows, which is this one right here. And the 9, the factor 9, stands for the chairs in this multiplication equation. And the product, which is this number here, 27, that represents the total amount of chairs when you have 3 rows with 9 chairs in each row, and you're going to get the product or the total of 27. So you can go ahead and write that information in this area here. And then our last question, D, how many chairs are there? Again, that's asking what the total or the product is, and you can find that in the multiplication equation that we've created if you want to pause for a second and write it in and then come back to check your answer. When you're back, you should see that your answer should match. There are 27 chairs, and we always write the word of the word problem next to the answer, 27 chairs, so not just 27. Remember, if you need to watch this video, you can re-watch and pause along the way as needed.